Hi, I'm Brianna Hetherington.
I'm Jen Hatcher.
And I'm Kat Gottlieb.
Welcome to the Conscious Creator Community Podcast. We are over the moon excited to share our wisdom, experiences, and valuable insights to becoming the best version of yourself. Becoming a conscious creator in an unconscious world. Even though we're all connected, how do we stay individually grounded so we can contribute positively to the collective consciousness without allowing the negativity and chaos to consume us? Jennifer.
Yes. Okay. So I've already talked about this a little bit, but let's layer on that. So I've mentioned boundaries in almost every single podcast we do.
Good one,
Boundaries are critical, people. And if it takes you a while to cue into them, that's okay. Give yourself grace. We are all just humans doing the best we can. We've also talked about in almost every single episode we do awareness. Awareness is the first step to be able to make changes or to even recognize places where you might want change. And then the third piece that we frequently talk about, but worth mentioning again, is intentionality, right? Be intentional. So for me, contributing positively to the collective consciousness without allowing negativity to like seep in and then be reverberated out through me is all of those three things. It's being intentional, not only with what I'm taking in, but with what I'm putting out. It's being aware of what's around me. And it is absolutely building boundaries, bigger and stronger, where necessary to protect my peace. Because the reality is, we cannot control everything happening in the world. In fact, we can control very little of what is happening in the world, what is happening in our environments that are broad environments, right? But we can control what is happening in our homes. We can control what is happening within our minds, within our bodies. And so, what we're focusing on, what we're contributing, where we're taking information in, what we're choosing to share back out. Really simple example, when you're with your friends, are you gossiping about somebody else? Or are you talking about something positive happening in your life, their life? Are you asking questions? Are we being engaged? Or are we just going to a lower vibration and like ick, right? So it's what we contribute.
So for me, I was thinking about this before, and what I would like to share is like I have different techniques I use to help me. And I mentioned this in one of the other segments is about having social anxiety. And this is relevant to anybody who, whether or not you feel anxious before you go into a meeting or a social event or anything, anywhere where you need to enter into a different state of energy or collective consciousness. So one of the things I've worked on as I've gotten older is I really want to stay emotionally regulated before, during, and after a social event. And so I do some simple preparations. I do a very simple meditation. And I actually have one on my channel where it's a very, very simple thing. You can do it in your car before you go into a social event, just to help you get in touch with who you are, regulate how you want to present yourself. And there's like somatic practices you can do, like tapping, for example, if that's something, if you've ever tried it or haven't, give it a try. It brings awareness into your body, because so often I think, especially shy people, empaths, we can disassociate before we go into a meeting because we just don't want to process all the emotions. And this can lead to like little mistakes like over drinking at event, to numb all of the barrage of energy you're getting. So I've learned that I want to stay in my body and in my own energy. So, I do that with intention. And then the other thing is, we've talked about this many times. I cherish my inner circles. I can share the tea with them. Like, I know it's a safe space to process what emotions I may have been going through, the good ones and the bad ones. When you have a really good inner circle who understands why you're sharing it, and they can help you, they can sit with you through it and let you process. That's extremely helpful. And I've also done things like, smudging. I don't know if we've talked about that yet, where you can clear the energy of your spaces. That's really fun. Or I use incense, candles to remove unwanted energy or to bring the intentional energy. And I think we've mentioned this before. Even just taking a shower washes off emotional energy. I think, Bree, you mentioned that in one of the other segments. So those are all things that people can use to manage their part of the collective consciousness and their own personal energy.
Yeah, I love it, Kat. I think those are some strong, really impactful resources along with our breath. Just
Yeah.
having access to focusing on the breath really can calm that nervous system down, and finding things that work for you. Take a walk in nature, get your toes in the sand or put your toes in the grass, and really connect with the energy of the earth and ground yourself so that you can be regulated. Because when we're regulated, everything else flows. But if we're not regulated and our nervous system is amped up, everything we do now is going to be chaotic because it's coming from a chaotic place. And like Kat mentioned earlier, whatever we're focusing our energy and attention on, it's going to grow. So we got to get really intentional on where we want to focus that energy and attention. And I love that you've gotten to know yourself, Kat, and you know these things about yourself that you might feel a little social anxiety, and here's ways that I can cope with this and still participate and be the best version of myself. So I love that. That's huge. But when we're talking about, oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to throw that in that also Bree has a beautiful book, The Neuro Shift. I'm going to slaughter the title right now, but the thing is so good about becoming with the Neuro Shift journal, right? Do I have that right?
Neuro Shift Journal, yep.
It is so good at anybody who wants to learn how to be aware of how they're thinking and how they want to think and how they want to react. It's such a good, useful tool. So,
Well,
just
thanks,
want to put
Kat.
that in there. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
We bought it for our leadership team at work.
What?
Yes.
You did not tell me that.
I know I didn't tell you that, but I'm telling all of our listeners now that again, in personal world, but also in business world, there's so many things that happen every day, right? And you can get really, really bogged down by this fire or this partner is just drains energy, or you know what I mean? So we bought a handful of them for our leadership team at work.
Oh, I love that. Hey,
Power
all
is in
that.
our awareness, right? Like when we
Sure
become aware.
is.
And
How
if
can we
do it
reframe that thought?
every day, we're just growing a little bit more, and we're gaining more and more awareness to getting to know who we truly are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, the good news here, we can create our consciousness by what we give our attention to, because energy flows where attention goes. So, how do we control or at least manage our thoughts, reactions, and behaviors? We can learn how to manage our reality by intentionally focusing on good habits, daily routines that regulate our energy and nervous systems.
Yes. So, friends, every time we choose kindness over judgment, compassion and grace over criticism, even though you might want to, because again, you're human. Be intentional with it. Grace and compassion, presence over distraction. When you are with the people that you enjoy spending time with, are you being present, or do you have this in your hand and you're halfway listening and scrolling through XYZ? Every little thing we do does influence the collective.
Yep, small actions matter. A smile, a random smile matters. You just never know what's going on in somebody's life. So you just don't know what that little bit of kindness may do for them. And on that topic, I have a little story I just want to share. And it's actually a personal moment that I also share in my book. But so it was one day I was on my way to a very difficult meeting, and I had to stop at a stoplight before I could cross the road and go into the building where this appointment was. And when I was standing there, all of a sudden this old man suddenly appeared next to me, and he smiled at me, and then he said, "Hey, cheer up. Everything's going to be just fine." And I didn't respond. I was kind of shocked that, like, what were you saying? And so I just started proceeding across the street. And then I realized his little comment actually made me feel better. And it eased something, that sadness and fear that I was feeling, just a tiny bit. And I felt a little bit better from that. So I turned around to thank him, but he was gone. And the point is, why I bring the story up is he probably will never know what his kind words did for me that day, but I will never forget it. And so I just want everybody to think about that. We all have the power and agency to be kind. And it may seem insignificant, like a drop of water in the ocean, but remember, the ocean is nothing but a collection of drops of water. So being kind is also, there's a healing effect in it. When you're kind to somebody else, it makes you realize that you're worthy of kindness too. So that's that reflective nature of the collective consciousness.
Oh, so well said, Kat. And the most beautiful part is when we are kind to others, we actually create an oxytocin ripple effect within ourselves and that other person that we just impacted. And I just think collectively, oh my gosh, now that person gets to go share that, and now it just spreads. And
Yes.
it's like you said, a drop of water. It's just a bunch of drops of water.
And we all cast a ripple effect. I love that you use that term, because that's the truth.
Well, I want to take a moment to share, a little personal story for me. So meditation, that Kat mentioned earlier, is one of her resources. It truly changed everything for me. For years, I lived in a constant state of always doing. To-do list, always moving, always planning, always chasing the next thing on my list. And I felt like I was running through my days instead of intentionally creating them. And today, meditation is one of my non-negotiables. I meditate every morning and evening because it allows me to begin my day grounded rather than reactive, anchored rather than scattered, and intentional rather than rushed. I've noticed that when I skip my meditation practice, I often feel like I'm chasing the day. And when I meditate, I feel like I own the day. Whatever comes my way, I meet it with a different energy, a calmness, a steadiness, a poise. Meditation helps regulate my nervous system and create space for my mind to process the endless amount of information I'm constantly consuming every single day. Instead of being pulled in 1,000 different directions, I can return to myself, to the present moment, to what truly matters. And what's fascinating is that meditation doesn't just impact the individual. Researchers have explored the effects of mass meditation and collective focus for decades. While people may debate the details, many studies have suggested that when large groups of people come together with intentions centered around peace, compassion, and coherence, communities can experience measurable positive shifts in social outcomes. Regardless of where people land on the science, one thing feels undeniably true to me. Human beings are profoundly connected. We are not isolated individuals moving through life alone. We are collective. Every thought we think, every belief we hold, every action we take, every word we speak, every intention we carry contributes something to the field around us. We influence one another more than we realize. And that's incredibly empowering because it means every one of us has the opportunity to become a source of healing, hope, kindness, and peace. When groups of people gather with a shared intention of compassion, connection, and love for humanity, something powerful happens. Whether you call it a collective consciousness, a collective energy, a human connection, or simply the power of community, we can feel it. And maybe that's exactly what our world needs more of right now. Not more division, not more fear, not more noise, not more chaos, but more people willing to pause, breathe, and to just be, to regulate their nervous system, to become conscious creators of the energy they bring into this world. Because when we heal ourselves, we contribute to healing the collective. And when enough people choose peace, perhaps we begin creating a more peaceful world together. And maybe that's exactly what the world needs more of right now. So for everybody listening, ask yourself some reflection questions. What energy am I contributing to the world? What are you consuming every day? Are you absorbing fear, scarcity, or are you absorbing an abundance of hope and solutions, opportunities and possibilities? What are you contributing every day? Have I been thoughtful of my part of the energy of my family, my workplace, and my community? Can I find ways to change the energy ripples? Can I find moments to encourage calm emotions or vibrate with hope and patience? As conscious creators, we know that the power of reality is within our choices. And as we close today, remember, you are not separate from humanity. You are a part of it. Every thought, every action, every interaction contributes to the collective consciousness. Let's take a few moments together to close this out intentionally and find our inner peace together, to remember our choice of reality and to express hope and kindness to the collective consciousness of the world. Join me for this guided nervous system regulation and collective consciousness meditation.